As we begin our unit on multiplication, we are going to start with the area model. The area model is a way to multiply numbers that focuses on their value. So I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute, but we're going to start today with multiplying 3-digit numbers by 1-digit numbers. 3-digit by 1-digit. Now the strategy is the same no matter how many numbers you use, but we're going to start kind of small and build our way up. So let's start with the number 425 times 3. In order to use the area model, you're first going to think about breaking the number 425 into expanded form. So that means writing it out based on its values, taking the 4 from 400 and writing 400, the 2 from the 20, making it a 20, and the 5 and the 1s, and keeping it a 5. That is the first step. And we're going to go ahead and write it horizontally like that because that lends us right into the strategy. We're going to, We're going to draw a line right below. Draw a line right here. And we're basically going to make a rectangle. The reason that this model is called area model is because basically we're going to be finding the area of this space right here. And when we find the area of that, that's going to give us the answer to this multiplication problem. So to make it even easier, we're going to split it into 3 separate pieces. Okay, so this rectangle is going to have a length of 400. This one has a length of 20. This one has a length of 400. This one has a length of 20. This one is going to have a length of 5. And all 3 of those different pieces are going to be multiplied by our other digit, which in this case is 3. So we're going to put our 3 right here. So that makes the width up of that side. So I like to put a little multiplication symbol right here to remind me that I am multiplying the length times the width for each of these rectangles. So we have 400 times 3. So I know that 4 times 3 is 12. Let's use what we already know. We know that 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm going to put a 12 right here. And based on our zeros trick, which we've already talked about this year, we remember that all we have to do is take the 2 zeros from 400 and put those into our product. Okay, because we multiply by powers of 10, we multiply by zeros, it pushes the numbers to the left. So 3 times 4 is 12. That means 3 times 400 is 1,200. That's our first rectangle. So next we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to find the area of our middle rectangle, and that means we're going to take the number 20, and we're going to keep that number 3. Just like before, I'm going to think about, well, what is 2 times 3? 2 times 3 is 6. And I have 1 0 in my equation. That means I need at least 1 0 added to my product. 2 times 3 is 6. 20 times 3 is 60. And then we have one more rectangle that we're going to look at. That is the 5. So we're going to do 5 times 3, which we know is 15. So now I have the area of these smaller rectangles, and these are also known as my partial products. So I'm going to take my partial products. Partial means, of course, a part. So that's these 3 things right here. My partial products. If I put them together, that will give me my final product. So my last step is going to be to add these numbers up. 1,200. I like to use the grid paper to help me really line up when I'm adding and subtracting. And I'm going to add those up. 0 plus 0 plus 5. 0 plus 6 plus 1 would be 7. We have a 2. We have a 1. So my product here is 1,275. I'm actually going to get rid of this example, and we're going to do this second one over here just for time's sake. So we're going to do in the example 703 times 6 because there's a few interesting things I want to touch on this one. So we're going to start exactly the same. We're going to find the expanded form of 703, okay? So that's going to be 700 from the 7. Notice there's nothing in the tens place, and like we talked about before, that you don't have to put that down if you don't want to. If you need it to hold that place, you can. I'm not going to for this example. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my 3 right here. I'm then going to use those numbers to draw my rectangle. I'm going to split my rectangle in two. Notice I gave a little bit more space to the 700 than the 3, just because it is bigger, to remind myself that's going to be a bigger product than, this space is going to be much bigger than this space right here. The products should be different. Okay? And lastly, I'm going to be multiplying by the number 6. Both of these by the number 6. So the first step, I want to know, what is 700 times 6? Now this is where, if you don't know your facts, you do need to come over to the side and start listing it out. Maybe you know 6 times 5. Maybe you know 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6, we're going to add 6 and be 36. And then 6 times 7 would be 42. There you go, 42. How many zeros are in the factors? 1, 2. I'm going to add 1, 2 zeros to my product. So my first partial product is 4,200. Okay, then next I have just one more. So I wanted to show you, if you do have that 0 there, you don't have to do anything with it. You can just move right past it, because 0 times anything would be 0. Okay, so now we have 3 times 6. And if you don't know, again, you could just keep working on these factors. Go backwards. 6 times 4, well, that would be 24, taking away 6. And 6 times 3, that would be 18. If you focus on the factors of the one digit, then that's going to give you all the answers you're going to need. Every product is going to be a multiple of the digit you're multiplying by. So 3 times 6 is 18. Now remember, these are called my partial products. Partial products. So that means I have to put them together in order to get my final product, the area of this entire large rectangle. I have 8, I have 1, I have 2, I have 4. So the product of this one, make myself a little bit more room, get rid of that, is 4,218.